and they actually made it profitable for landlords to own affordable housing.
Incentives.
Or given, if they produce incentives for affordable housing, then we wouldn't even be having this discussion.
Yeah.
Didn't even get to cross.
All right, Dan, so super interesting topic today, especially in light of everything that's going on in the U.S., which is some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I think both of us kind of share the same general principle that I don't care too much.
think?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I don't care too much about politics, other than like how can I profit off of it? Like that's basically what we're going to talk about today. How to profit off of political policy. My general theory is that while I don't necessarily agree with socialist policies in idea, they do create great opportunities to make a lot of money in real estate or probably a lot of other directions. But what are your thoughts on political policy in Canada? How do you profit off of it? How do you look at things as a real estate investor?
So you and I were discussing the other day about we were talking about this, and you brought up a really interesting scenario, because I was like, okay, well, if we're going to start seeing inflation, we're going to start seeing higher taxes, yada yada yada. I was actually more pessimistic on the socialist agenda here in Canada and the social policies. But you actually brought up a very important caveat to all of that, is that the socialist government here in Canada will not have people not allowed to live in an apartment or a home or whatever. More than likely what's going to happen is, like, they won't allow people to go without a roof over their head.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not going to allow a bunch of homeless people
No.
like in a first world country.
No. No.
It's just unlikely.
Yeah.
Let's
But
put it
what
that way.
will happen is you won't be able to own a home.
Yes.
So that's where landlords can profit, because the home prices under the socialist government, there's all kinds of, like you were saying, there's all kinds of barriers for development. There's all kinds of red tape for, taxations. There's all kinds of, zoning restrictions. So they say they're pro, affordable housing.
Yeah.
But if they were pro affordable housing, why is there all kinds of red tape to, produce affordable housing? And why do they make it so unprofitable to own affordable housing? If the government stopped having so much red tape for affordable housing, and they actually made it profitable for landlords to own affordable housing,
Incentives.
If they produce incentives for affordable housing, then we wouldn't even be having this discussion.
Yeah.
It's clear that they're not.
Yeah, it's classic. I call this political doublespeak. They say one thing, right?
Yeah.
They say, "Hey, we're going to go after affordable housing. We're going to fix this problem," because they want to tell people that it's a big political topic right now,
Yeah.
right? So they want to tell people that they're after it, but the way they act and their policies and everything else says something opposite. I don't look at what politicians say, because they say what people want to hear. I look at what they do. So let's look at, like, I don't know if you've ever tried to do any development or anything, or if you've gone down that road yet.
It's like
Yeah.
not like ground up development. No.
Yeah. So like I've done some research on like trying to develop a condo in the GTA. They need so much housing in the GTA. I kind of did some math on this, right? They have 100,000 people moving to the GTA a year. Pre-COVID, I don't know what's going on now, but 100,000 people, even if you averaged, 2.5 people per residence, I think that's about the average right now. At 2.5 people per residence divided by 100,000 people, you need like 400 condos per year for the next decade to house 100,000 people per year, right? Like you need to develop 400 condos of 200 units per condo or whatever, something
Yeah.
like that, right? I don't know the exact math.
Yeah.
Like how can you build 200 condos a year? It takes you from the time that you buy a piece of land, I've done a little bit of research on this, a developer buys a piece of land to the time that they put shovels in the ground and get that condo developed and rented or sold or whatever, it's like 3 to 5 years
Yeah.
of red tape, bureaucracy. There's no incentives, there's heavier taxation and all these other things. So, double speak, let's say one thing, we're going after affordable housing, but at the same time, let's put all these barriers in place to prevent the actual creation of it. Now, what's another fallout when you have heavy taxation, lack of incentives, heavy zoning rules, increased stringent building codes, rising cost of building materials and labor? What do you think is going to happen to the new developments that are built? Like, how much you think they're going to be affordable?
No, of course.
It's impossible.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
You can't build affordable housing.
No, and then what's going to happen is, in order to, like on a per unit basis, it doesn't make sense to build affordable housing.
Yeah.
Even if you end up getting incentives, that land makes more sense to produce,
Luxury.
luxury
You
and
have
class
to.
A product.
It doesn't only make sense. It's the only option.
Yeah, it really is.
You need
because of the cost.
Because of the cost.
Because of the cost to develop.
Yes. So if you were going to build an affordable housing project as a developer, you would need the government to make it make sense profitability wise. You would need the government to offer a significant incentive. It's the only way to do it. So is the government doing that? The answer is no. They might have a couple small projects here and there, but it doesn't really exist. Now, what's interesting is we went over, you pulled it up, I think, last week, one of the affordable housing projects in what state? Washington, I think it was, right? What was the one that we looked at there?
Which
or
one?
Virginia.
Oh, okay. The
guy that built
the
it,
senior place.
the
Okay,
senior place,
Okay,
the guy that built it did it for like a income capped affordable living.
Yeah.
And he told us about the incentives.
Yeah.
The real estate agent was the builder's client, and the builder's client told him about the incentives or whatever, right? That he used to build that place.
Yeah.
They were insane.
Yeah.
They were insane.
Yeah, so it's something to the effect of they get a tax credit, and then they ended up allowing him to sell the tax credit off, which actually covered his down payment.
Yes.
For the entire project.
Yeah.
Not just like, a portion of it. The tax incentive actually that was sold off covered his entire deposit or down payment to actually do the project. And then what ends up like that tax credit actually gets sold off to companies that profit like extreme.
Yeah. So if you have let's break this down. If you have if you're an oil company and you make $10 billion
Let's use
profit
tech
a year.
because tech is a way better option.
Yeah,
like
tech.
Tech will do it a lot.
Let's say you're Amazon, you make
Yeah.
$50 billion profit or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're looking to buy, you need to reduce your taxable income.
Exactly.
That's the name of the game, right?
Yeah.
So you have the headhunters or whatever, they go out and look
Yeah.
to buy tax incentives.
Yeah.
So you have this, you're the developer.
Affordable housing developer.
The government gives you a $10 million tax incentive that you can use as a write-off over the next decade or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know how
it was a $10 million tax incentive, like something to the effect of and $10 million over the course of 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so $1 million a year.
Yeah.
So you sell this to Amazon, they say, okay, we'll give you $8 million cash right now for that incentive.
Exactly, yeah.
Because it makes sense for them.
Yep.
Financially, right? They just
Yeah.
run the numbers, it makes sense, we'll give you $8 million. So you get $8 million cash. The building costs you, I don't know how much to build, $5 to $8 million, something,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
You're building the building for free, then you
Yeah.
can offer lower rents and it still makes sense or whatever the
Exactly,
case is.
yeah.
So those rents, we looked at that building, they were relatively low.
Yeah.
And affordable,
Yeah.
but the only way that you could have built that is because of those incentives. Now,
Yeah.
do we see any of that in Canada ever?
No, none of it.
Now, when we're looking in the U.S., you pulled up your system last
Yeah.
week. There are developments everywhere.
And I'll give you another example. So, for example, I'm getting actually a lot warmer on this deal in Houston, Texas. Okay.
Okay.
Again, red state, Republican state, very pro-business, very pro-landlord. They do not have zoning in Houston.
No zoning laws.
There's no zoning laws.
That's insane.
And they expedite development.
Yeah.
So I can build Class A. It doesn't matter what I want. It doesn't even matter in terms of it's not there's just no residential zoning. No, it's no zoning.
Yeah. So
okay?
you're looking at four apartment.
Yeah,
kind of
looking
things,
at
right?
four apartment
on a nice big
complexes,
piece
yeah.
of land. So
It's
in
not-
theory,
it's 4 individual units or buildings in a 4-unit portfolio.
yeah. So kind of like a big piece of land with 4 buildings.
No,
Right?
no, it's not. So it's 4 individual buildings scattered over this submarket in
Okay,
Houston.
cool.
Yeah.
But theoretically, you could tear one of those buildings down
Yeah.
and build a gas station
Yeah, I
or
could-
a high rise.
yeah.
You don't have
Yeah.
to go to
Exactly.
the government and take 8 months and put
No.
rechange the zoning
No.
because that would be really slow.
Exactly.
And it would be hard to develop, and it would be hard to develop enough supply to meet the demand.
Exactly.
So that's super interesting, and that's
Yeah.
why, if probably in that area, that allows the city to grow quickly.
Now here's one caveat to that. The problem with allowing that to happen is that right now they actually have a massive influx. Now this is also a proponent of the pandemic, but they also have a massive glut of luxury style buildings and units in that area. And the reason why they have that is because of what we were talking about. It makes more sense to build luxury even when you don't have like the incentives or red tape. It still makes more sense to build luxury versus affordable housing.
Yeah.
It still does make sense.
Yeah, you probably make more money.
Yeah, however, and this is a prime example of it because there's not really any incentives there to incentivize people to buy affordable housing, but the incentive to Houston is there's no red tape. So what people are doing is to maximize the dollar and the footprint of that property that they're building. What they're doing is they're building A-class luxury style units, right? So now with the pandemic though, and with the job loss and the unemployment, there's a glut of A-class property in the market.
Yeah.
Now, that's also another issue that I wanted to bring up too, is like for your Toronto example, is there the possibility of, reducing red tape and incentivizing people to keep building and keep building and keep building and keep building? Will we actually reverse the, extremely hot real estate market? And do people want that to happen?
In Toronto?
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Say Canada, across Canada, no zoning, or at least maybe no residential zoning. So, say you can build whatever you want, or there's no red tape, and then they incentivize affordable housing. What would that actually do to the real estate market? Obviously, it's pretty obvious what it would actually do. It would reduce the cost of living and the cost per unit. It's clear that would happen, but that's probably good. It's at this point, the Windsor market, the article that and I just posted, the Windsor market from December, this time last year, it increased 35%. 35%.
Now, why? I keep telling people the reason that is because of our socialist policies.
Exactly. Yes.
There is not enough supply.
Yeah.
You can't possibly build enough supply because of all the
or
limitations.
you can't build it fast enough.
You can't build it fast enough or at a low enough cost to produce affordable housing. When you develop now in southwestern Ontario, you have to price it at the top end of the market, or the project won't make sense. Nobody would do it. And the government can't build housing because they're not good at it. It would be a disaster.
Oh my God.
Whatever the government touches is essentially a disaster from a business perspective. It would lose money. It would fall apart. If you're going to build affordable housing, you got to manage that property too. Keep in mind. And you're going to have a certain demographic of people in there. It'd be very difficult to do. You need to incentivize the private sector. The socialist ideology doesn't like the private sector.
No.
They're anti-private sector, and yet they come out and talk about affordable housing. So they're actually burning their own citizens. At the same time, while Canadians suffer to buy housing because there's not enough, people are getting priced out of the market. The next generation, whoever's watching this, your kids, unless you start buying real estate now, they're not going to be able to afford a house. They're going to have to rent.
Yeah, forget it. It's done.
In southwestern Ontario and a lot of places in Canada. Now, what are they doing? What else? Hold on, let me finish this thought. What else are they doing over the next 3 years? How many people are coming into the country?
Yeah, like fucking millions.
1.2. This is the federal government's target. 1.2 million people. The Canadian population is 35 million. That's a significant influx of people, and a lot of those people are going to come to Ontario. We're the economic powerhouse. That is not pro-affordable housing. That is anti. Yet they talk about affordable housing. So I don't watch what the government does. I watch what they do. Now, I don't care. I'm not here to debate whether or not that's right. I don't care about immigration, whatever. How do we profit from it? Buy real estate.
That's it.
Buy rental properties. Hold that for the next 30 years. Own it. Because there's going to be a shortage. We see the reasons why. Now, here's the thing. In a capitalist country, like if you go to the States, there's way more opportunities.
Well, Houston is a perfect example,
it's insane.
right?
Yeah, it's insane. You could pull it up right now. There's like 20 opportunities that are all really interesting. Whereas in Ontario, for a large multi, there are zero. They don't make sense. The reason why is because of capitalism. Right? And deregulation and things like that. Now, with hyper-capitalism, you could run into an oversupply much easier. You'd have to be more careful, right? But there's still great opportunities.
And that's where the government. That's when you need the government to step in, not to hold people back. It's to just slightly regulate. Just to play the balancing act.
You can go too far of deregulation.
Exactly. You need to. The government should only be in place for a balancing act. That's it.
That's a great point.
That's it.
So in Canada right now, and especially in Ontario, we're too far socialist, where it's too many policies, too much red tape, too much cost. You can't do it. And maybe in Texas, maybe they went a little bit too far with free open markets.
Well,
I don't know.
Here's the thing: they didn't because of how fast the population.
That's true.
Was growing.
COVID threw a wrench, just like
COVID
in Toronto.
threw a wrench.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: it's actually coming back.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
It came
it's
back.
A glitch.
Exactly.
Glitch.
Their economy there recognizes the fact that, like, listen, we need to get back to work. We need to maintain our economy, because if we don't have that, what are we going to be left with?
Yeah.
So they realize the importance of that.
Yeah, Texas is pretty open right now. Eh?
Oh yeah, big time. Texas, Florida, yeah. So at the end of the day, although they went too far, that's the problem. I don't think they went too far.
That's a good point. Like in Toronto, they didn't go too far. The statistics showed you that you need to build 200 condos a year, or whatever the number is, per year, just to keep up with the demand. It just so happened to be a glitch right now.
Yeah, it was a glitch, yeah.
Now, I, as an investor, and I think you're thinking this way, is like, okay, this is a buying opportunity.
Yeah.
The people that can buy these apartments right now are a little bit limited, right? Businesses are suffering. There's less buyers. Now you're coming in saying, wow, here's an opportunity. This is a 7 cap for a property in Houston in a great location.
Yeah.
Less buyers right now. I'm going to take advantage of this. That, because we're seeing, like, you've done your research, that's a temporary glitch. It's going to be fixed. COVID's going to end eventually. I don't know if it's this year or 2 years or 5 years. It will.
Well, I don't think it's actually going to end. I think we're going to have to deal with whatever. We're going to have to adapt.
I think you're right. I agree.
Yeah, I think that I think we're they're pushing this hard. I don't think it's going to like go away.
I agree. And then if you look at, like, hey, I don't care who wins. Let's not talk about who's right or wrong to win the presidential election. But if Biden wins, part of their plan is immigration. They're going to open up the floodgates for citizenship and immigrants. Well, guess where a lot of them are going to end up?
Yep.
Texas.
Exactly.
And they gravitate. Immigrants gravitate towards big cities, right? There's opportunities.
Big cities, and where the demographic of their population already exists.
Yeah.
Texas is very Mexican. There's a very South American like presence in Texas.
Big cities are very diverse generally.
Along the Sun Belt, it's very diverse.
And you got the warm weather. And
exactly.
You got,
if I was literally gonna go to the U.S. right now, I wouldn't be going to I'm not gonna go to like Idaho. I'm gonna go to like Texas or somewhere where it's more.
You're gonna go to somewhere warm. You're gonna go to a great city with sports and amenities. You're gonna go to Florida.
Yeah.
Maybe California if you like the policies there. A lot of people are leaving those states right now because of the socialist policies have gone too far.
It's gone too far. Yeah.
I was doing a little bit of research on this, where the California a lot of big companies are leaving California. That's another reason you like Texas as well, right?
Yeah.
These companies are like, well, frick, you're taxing my payroll now.
Yeah.
You're taxing me on my taxes.
Yeah.
The California government has gone too socialist. They're taking their business to Texas.
Yeah.
Because it's they're more favorable. They don't have an income tax or whatever. I don't even know, but they incentivize development. They're incentivizing Tesla to open up in Austin, Texas. Like that. That's the reason that they're leaving.
Yeah.
So when we talk about profiting off politics, it's not really that hard to see these trends. You just have to pay attention to them, and you also have to not. I have some people that take it too far. They're like, well, if this happens and this happens, like California is going to be destroyed. I would never invest there. It's like, well, California is still probably a pretty good place to invest. Like, you just got to be a little bit more careful. Like, it's still California. You got oceanfront. You've got all the major tech companies there. You got Apple and Facebook, their headquarters. It's just that, there's just a little bit of a shift to take advantage of. But don't get too far.
No, it's not going to go away.
Yeah.
There's still tons of reasons why you would still want to be there. Like, I've been to California. It's amazing there. Like, it really is.
You just have to be more careful now because a trend has started.
Yeah.
Businesses are leaving. People are getting fed up. There's homelessness in certain places. You just have to be more careful.
There's extreme. It's extreme there now at this point. But there's there's $1 for everything, right? Like everybody's got a price.
There's an opportunity everywhere.
Yeah.
But you can hop on trends.